The Yeshivas Bein Hazmanim of Bais Medrash Chaim is once again privileged to host and to hear a shir from Sholom Rubashkin right now before Pesach, when Pesach is a zman, a chizuk of Emuna, to hear from somebody who experienced bepoil me'avdus l'cheiris. I myself personally had the opportunity last year to spend a whole Shabbos, a Shabbos of Emuna B'tachin that brings Geula. And just want to say that this is something, this is something that'll change your Leila Seder forever. Reb Sholom Rubashkin Shlita.
I came all the way from Lakeland, I'm a little late to Shul. We read the wegen von Cheres. The Cheres, she comes from Pesach. And just a story that happened a few weeks ago. We live in Lakewood now, Jackson, near Lakewood. I'm going to Borough Park to a dentist. My son is driving, and he's going to a company called Beyond Dentistry. It's on 1513 in Borough Park. So nose makes him late. He puts into his little ways, and I thought on the way I realized he's supposed to take an exit, and he's in the left lane. So I said, I'm getting to the right lane. And it started not to be meidig in the story, because this is a pashta story, but it's a different twist. The ways kept on telling him to go a different way, and I kept on telling him, I know the way. For Dorton, like if you're going on the exit 13, you get over the Gathels Bridge, over the Zana Bridge. The ways tells me to make a U-turn. I don't know, but till the end, Mama, she keeps on passing exit after exit. I said, what'd you put in there? What was the address you put in? He gave a look. He put in Beyond Dentistry. Elamai, the Beyond Dentistry, actually he picked the same name. He picked a place in Manhattan, in Central Park in Manhattan, over there. So he thought he was going to a dentist that was waiting for him. Let's say he would have gone following the computer. He would have wound up to a dentist called Beyond Dentistry. But in Manhattan, the doctor there wasn't waiting for him. He wouldn't give him the service that he needed. He wouldn't give him the help that he needed. So I learned a tremendous lesson, and this is Bambas thing for Cheres, seeing Hashem protest and everything, is that we're all looking now for Cheres. We're going into Yom Tov, where Mamash and Reish Chadashim, Shalach Kodesh says that every day of Cheres Nissen is a Reish Chedesh, the idea of a new birth, a Naya Chedesh, not every Chedesh has the part of leaving over the past, going into the future. And we say one Chedes, and so there are people out there that want to tell that bring you to Chedes, but we're looking for the Chedes that the Eibishter wants us to bring us. In other words, in the story with the dentist, there was a person waiting for him, and there was a person the dentist was going to help him, but Hashem helped him. But you have to know who was the onkommen. In other words, we have to decide. Like I want to go to Mitzrayim, and we have to go to Mitzrayim that's bringing us to Har Sinai. We have to go to Mitzrayim that's bringing us to real Chedes, and this is really what I want to try to bring out in the little time we have, because whatever time we have is not enough to talk. And my personal Nasa Chanukah, as I never mentioned over Scheiner, as we are. My Nasa happened on Chanukah, but it happened in a way. I live with these letters, Aleph Beis Gimel. Aleph is Emuna, B'tachin is B'tachin, and Emuna, B'tachin brings Geula. What I say Emuna means whatever happened until now is Azayat Gedaf Treffen. It couldn't have happened in different types of months. Emuna means the understanding of Yochel Pratis. And B'tachin means whichever matzav, even if you're in a difficult matzav, and who is not today in the difficult matzav, all in Golos, everyone has its own challenges. I mean, versteht that wherever we are is exactly what the Eibishter wants us to be. The Eibishter will help us. And the Sof Shar B'tachin, he writes, a B'tech Hashem will never get up in the morning thinking he could have been somewhere else. That's an interesting way to put it. I took these words very seriously. We learned Torah, you have to take it very seriously. And I used to, for over 8.5 years, I used to wake up in a place called prison. And you open your eyes up and you're in a place you don't want to be l'chayda, and then you remember the words of Torah that tells you Emuna means if I woke up over there, I couldn't have woken up any other place. We've got to push it, because they have to create you every second. It's not they knows where you are, they have to put you there. Elamai, they want you from there to be talking with Mekabel, what happened until now, as Gamsul the Teva, and go forward, the Eibishter wants you to have a betachon, the Eibishter will change it so you can have a Teva that you can see. And as I give and Baruch Hashem al Zeicha, and this is how you get the real chayres by connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Torah and mitzvahs. That's what real chayres is, and this is the thing I want to share with you today. Is that one day, there's Chanukah, Mama took me for skier. The guard opened the door and told me to get out, and I was told the beautiful news that the president, Donald J. Trump, was the shliach of the Eibishter to tell me to go home. I went like that. And the day before I got this idea that I'm free, I got the other way. I got the idea from the court system. They told me, sent me a letter. I opened the letter up, and the letter said you're stuck here for another 18 years because of the sentence of 27 years. The issues they wanted to do was going to stand. They said they appealed the last appeal. And the day before, I was told that I'm going to stay, I'll be a Hashem Ma'avid for another 18 years. And I refused to give in to understand my life, understand the world I was living in the way they're telling me. That's Chedes. Chedes means living with the emes of Torah. Nicht as ich steht, was they left me. So, the Pesach before, I want to start off the personal story. What is the Emuna? Emuna means, I'm a daven zum Eibishten. When we daven, the etzem inyan from davening is that Reihe, du glaubst. From was daven stuff, you're asking for the Bein Elam, that tefillah itself is the biggest expression of Emuna. Why are you davening? Because you need something. And that's, you're not davening to Chalad, Shevach Ledoy, but the part of davening was Bakosh Tzrachov, what you're asking for, so you're asking from the Eibishter to give you what you need. So that means your mind that the Eibishter is the one that gives you everything you need. That's to begin with. And during the Seder, so if you want to know about how do you express your Emuna, you daven richtig, with the Bein, and I feel even in a matzah where you don't see how B'derech HaTeva you can get it, that's the point. That's the point of the story. I don't remember clearly, but it could be the last year that I was there. And we had like that point in time was a lot of Eden that was never from this place called prison. And so we had the 2 or 3 tables for the Shdorim. The table was done. I had like we were doing a seder like for let's say 10 people, round number. And there were guys on the right side, left side. I was the Balagoda, and I always tied it to the Chavre because there were people there that had 3-year sentences and people here had 4-year sentences. The people there that had 20. One person had the 27 years, and some people there had 85-year sentence also. 2 guys. America is a very nice country and it gives a lot of years. It's gives a shame. I could put off your time to say, so a guy sitting in prison, and he's sitting there with a sentence. The judge said, the judge who the nicest of America, you see today where judges can stop a president, the president has to do something, and the judge comes and stops him. I could put him for temporarily. The judge is a powerful thing, and the judge says to each one of these people sitting there, you have a sentence, you're not getting out until the date. They state. Aber geteilt to say, 1 second. The Eibishter hat gesagt, it's Pesach, and the Eibishter said, yeah. The Eibishter himself made a gzeidah that didn't have to be in Mitzrayim 400 years. How many Yidden will the pay didn't in Mitzrayim? So you see that I feel that the Eibishter macht a gzeidah. It makes a sentence. If Fran durch Emuna, durch Shibut HaGolos, because the Shibut Mitzrayim was stronger, so so we see that the Eibishter is mochen to reduce a sentence, even when he gave it. Allah gave a sentence. And that was my time. Some of these guys sitting there were people that can understand this language very well. Some people had learned the language. And so we're saying that God, the inyan from Pesach is to bring down the inyan from Geula, Chedes, this is Pesach. Pesach, anything is Chedes from any Mitzrayim, anything that confines a person, that's Pesach. The prayer came to Vanitzak. Everybody knows, so it came to Mefurusim. There's a adapter of said that when you come to Vanitzak, you have to get up and schreien, beten the Meibishten, Vanitzak Hashem Bakev Eseinu. I'm a davend, beten with the Meibishten, Vanitzak, the Ikez and Shmak Eleinu, shehear us. So I got up. I'm Maimen in Tzadikim, in Tzadikim, so I got up and Vanitzak. I expected everybody to stand up. It was interesting. And later, some guys there did not want to stand up. Some guys did stand up, and the peldic ending to the story is some guys did stand up and some guys didn't stand up. And I realized the guys that weren't standing up were standing up with the shit. It wasn't they weren't standing up, they weren't following. So I'm getting it. They davened already, and the Eibusha said no. I said no. They davened, and the Eibusha said no. They stopped davening. It doesn't say anywhere. There's not ein man Chazal. There's not ein gar nicht. Steht verkehrt in Bruch. Gemara Bruch says, "Ma yasadum sheispal v'lei nen yachzor yispal." Verkehrt. Kavi Hashem. Kavi Hashem. Punkt verkehrt. The Eibusha says, "What do you do if you saw that you didn't daven? You davened and you weren't answered? Was that Satan?" This young Eibusha said no. Calls makas doch davenen. There's daven. So I tried to argue it out. So God is going. It was going nowhere. So I had no time standing. I was telling a story that happened. I was got very pained. I felt this as man with sugum can daven no bed. What are you doing? This is one time a year. I'm saying the hostel daven bed. So I got up, and the fellow is I didn't have Shasam. I said I didn't have Shasam until a year, 2 years ago. I was saying the story in my house. I keep on saying the story over, and one of them, Bais, reminded me that the 2 other guys stood up with me. 2 or 3 other guys stood up. I remember on my left side, and I saw Yeshua, and 2 other guys on my left side also saw Yeshua. They were from the guys that were the second time he pardoned people. They got a pardon also. I don't say names here. If you can get names, but the guys that stood up there, I'm Gizan Yeshua. And the other guy, das is Chedes. Chedes means, what is Chedes? Chedes means to be who we are. We have in the Sholom, we have Eibush. Just a quick, I don't know how much time I have, but this is Baruch Hashem, hopefully we've seen a few times over and over. I don't want to pump in as much as I can. The night before, or the last Pesach that I was in the political prison, the night before we had the Seder. It could be this was the Seder also I'm describing to you. And the next day, a guy came in. They brought another cellie into the cell because the older guy left, and they brought a new guy in. And I didn't know how the new guy is going to react to me because I had my Mahalacha Aveda. I used to get up in the morning and say, "Don't tell him." I didn't have any bad pictures on the walls. There was a cell, but there was also a guy over there. But there was. Whatever. And Shabbos, I made sure that the guy there shouldn't put on lights and off against a Shiloh from the mirror like from Shul. So whatever. So I taped the other guy. Till then, I had the Hashem that the guy didn't put lights on and off, so I didn't have to get involved with it. Other nekudas. So I took Scotch tape. I put it on the new guys coming in. So I put Scotch tape on the switch. And Kachabi walks like 2 o'clock, and this guy walks in, and he was there. Just give describe the person. I don't think he was. I'm not getting to anybody who was not there. But the guy was there for murder, and he's there already for 20 years. So forget about the murder part. If he's in jail for 20 years, it was against a very it affects your brain very badly. But whenever he comes in, I don't know if you ever saw a Jew before. He brought him from a different part of the country, and he walks in. He says, "Hi." They sent me here. He says, "Hi," and he looks around. He sees the Scotch tape on the switch. He says, "What's this?" I tell him that we're Jewish people. We don't put on lights on Shabbos Yom Tov. Do you mind if we keep the light on the whole day and night? So he says, "No problem. I'm not Jewish. I'll put it on and off." So I tell him that's the point. You can't put it on for me either. You might. So he says, "Maskim, I want to show you. I'm the left mit dem Eibishten. The whole world follows you." So I told the Kemaisa. I also had a shmata. I took a cell. The cell there is 6 feet by 8 feet. Yeah, it's a room. It's a tiny room. It's like these tables, the width, and then 8 feet in the length. 2 people, one top of the other. A little table. There was a bath, a toilet in the corner. Because they locked the doors. There was a high security. Locked the doors on you. Inside, and there was a table. I used to laugh. I try to think be besimcha. In Gemara state as who's an usher, somebody who yes, besakisa samach l'shachonei. Remember the Gemara there? You're sitting over there. You can get into depression. You can laugh about it. I was the biggest usher. That wasn't samach l'shachonei. The besakisa was al shachonei. So I took a sheet. I put it across, and the ployim is. For years that they didn't bother me. But once in a while they got a bad day, but the guards never bothered me. Even at the end when they started to bother me, we got special permission. It was a palace. Unlike the toilet, which is a Davar Shabbatum in our cell, the guy who looks at it and says, "What's this?" I explain to him what it is. Right. Then he goes to eat. And an hour later, And I said to him, by the way, I know, because he walked Mamash the first day Pesach. So I tell him, you should know, Jewish people now is Passover. We don't eat cookies and spaghettis and things they bring in from the. You mind not bringing food into the cell? So for how long? For the next 7 days. It was like by me it came out with the Edenskite. I mean, you're talking to somebody, the Chaim versteht gar nicht what the wheels, yeah? He looks at me and asks him. He didn't come into the room. This is a guy, if you want to go by his record, was a murderer. Plus, if you want to go by his record, he doesn't owe me anything, the Chaim. And he was muchen to go along with that. I tell him, by the way, I go every morning, I get up in the morning and I say, I pray. Your mind in the morning is a little. So she says, Rabbi, do what you want. So I got up next morning. I came back from the Seder. I was wondering, he kept the light on. The light was on. The light was on, as he expected. And I got up in the morning and I started saying to him, Rabbi, I don't hear you. I don't hear you. So I'm trying to keep it low because I don't want to wake you up. He says, Rabbi, don't worry, you're not waking me up, you're putting me to sleep. It was like, what's the Chris bringen? The Iker is we have to want to go out of Golos. We have to want to learn Torah. But that's how we go out of Golos. Real Chedus means becoming Eved Hashem. Going out of Mitzrayim is not enough. You have to go to Har Sinai. And we start counting Sfira the second day of the Pesach. And that's who we really are. Chedus means being who we are because we are Bnei Elikim. We are the Shamas. That's who we are. That's what Chedus means. Chedus doesn't mean that we stop working and we're eating, drinking coffee. Chedus means being who we are, and I want to talk it now. So this I saw. I remember what I just saw with this guy. I didn't say to myself, oh, Pesach Pesach, and the cellmate is our Ritzeich. He mamish conformed. He changed his Mahalach Chaim to make sure, but that's what the nations of the world are supposed to be doing, outside prison, inside, wherever they are, by the Eid of Tanayit. In the Kuzari, we'll talk about the Kuzari, says like this. If you look, you should learn this. The first Maimon edition, he describes in beautiful, beautiful detail what is the Ma'aseh mit Yeshivas Mitzrayim, and how we can understand the Matan Torah in the Eifen. How can we start in the Eifen that we can be real to us? And he says like this: unlike any other religion, where the religion begins with one person or a few people, then they are able to impress world people around them by talking, by money, by power. By Yidden, we experienced the Eibishter's revealing. We experienced the Eibishter. Where did we experience the Eibishter? He goes to the details. Now, the Saramakas we saw. We went out of Mitzrayim. Nobody told us. He says, we went out of Mitzrayim. We couldn't be dreaming this. The fire was chasing us, and we went through into a yam, and the yam split, and the goyim they were chasing us drowned, and we came out alive. We saw the Mitzrayim dead on the ocean. We went into the desert, and Hashem fed us. He fed us for 6 days. Food came down, b'derech nes, and on Shabbos it didn't come down. Why did it come down on Shabbos? Because Zochar is Shabbos like Lakatche. That's why. So Shabbos was not something somebody told us about. We lived it. We saw every single day. Hashem was feeding us for 40 years. And the 7th day we didn't see. We came to Har Sinai. Who was by Har Sinai? All the Yidden by Har Sinai. And you all saw it. Point being is that Yiddishkeit, we Yidden know about the Eibishter because we experienced it. That's what the Yehuda Levi explains us in the Sefer. How can we live with it today also? So it says in the, I think it's the Rambam, it says that if you live with Hashgacha Pratis, if you see in Emuna brings you to Hashgacha Pratis in a quick way. The Tanya explains this very clearly. He says that it's a very simple thing. I'll take 2 minutes and just talk about Kriyas Yamsuf. It brings that Kriyas Yamsuf. Kriyas Yamsuf, the water, the Eibishter brought a Ruach Kodem Azel Kol Laila. And Vaybaku HaMayim. So how did the water stand up? Because water naturally falls down. The Eibishter brought HaKayach, and the water stood up. How did the water go back down? When the Eibishter removed the Kayach. So he says the Bri is Yesh Mayayin. Bri is something from nothing. So when the Goyim come and they give a stupid time and they say, maybe the Eibishter created the world and he moved away from here. Maybe they text the Eibishter to create a world like this. But how the Eibishter is involved every second in the world? We're going to push it. Because they're being a raya from Yeshivas. If you take a keli, you take a piece of silver and you make it into a vessel, you don't have to keep on doing it because the silver was there already. You weren't mechadish anything. Masha'in came with the Eibush is mechadish and metzias. And the Eibush creates a velt Yeshivas and the world wasn't there. What's the metzias of the world? Nothing. There's no world. The Eibush's Maimer says yehi rekia. The whole Asar Mamor is to create the world. So the real mitzvot of the world is nothing, and it's the Maimer of the key that makes it something. He brings it ice. So what's the mitzvot? Here's a table right here. This table right here is here only because Eibishter wants it to be every second. If Eibishter stopped saying, I want this table here, that's the second, it would first disappear. The Eibishter doesn't have to bring another koyach. And if you think the Eibishter has to bring another koyach to destroy the table, then you say there's something besides Eibishter Chas v'Shalom. So the Emuna by us, the emes is, there is no world. So Mela, I was thrown in a place called prison. I want to show you how you take these in Yom we learn, and how you bring it Emuna into Hashgacha Pratis means you live with it. I was in a very hot spot. They told me I didn't want to walk without Miyamaka and Tzitzis. And they took it away from the Keach, and I'm not walking, so they threw me into a place called solitary confinement. I was at loss over there. I didn't know what to do. I was mamish at loss. And the Eibishter gave me Keiches, because I learned a lot about Emuna and Betachon and this Inyan from Hashgacha Pratis, and I realized it's not that the Eibishter knows where I am. I was crying at the Eibishter, why aren't you hearing me? I wanted to have Yamakan. I wanted to win the trial. I didn't. I want to win Yamakan Tzitzis. I can't have Yamakan Tzitzis. Also not. Like, help. For a second, it almost seems like I'm here, the Eibishter's there, and he has to see me. It's not the Eibishter knows where I am. The Eibishter put me here. How am I here? I'm here because the Eibishter created me every second. It's just like the Eibishter face. The Eibishter was taking care of me, and he looked away at the Chas v'Sholom, and I fell into a hole. The midterm wall is a problem. Hey, everything that's Emuna. Emuna means everything that you're going through in life. If you chap this, what this means, this is what it means experiencing it now in our world. Right now, we talk about Yeshivas Mitzrayim because we have a shalshalas from Meseda from then. But if you want to live with Emuna and Betachon every single day, start out with Hashgacha Pratis. That's what it means. Hashgacha Pratis means that everything in your life, if you start understanding, the Kad HaKamach says, Betachon is not only Kad HaKamach from the Scheiner, the Tam from the Rashba. He says the Betachon is not only for big things. If you have to go across the ocean, if you have to get out of a big soda, he says even in small things, train yourself to have Betachon. You want to go across from here to the other side of the city, have Betachon. David will give it to for you. Why? He says like this, because two things can happen. Maybe you'll be matzliach, so you have the schus of the Betachon, you betach the Eibishter, and they have the hatzlacha he gave you, and maybe you won't get it. Maybe the Eibishter didn't want to give it to you yet, and you won't get the other side. You got the other side, you didn't want matzliach and yaveda, but you'll get the schad of having Betachon the Eibishter, and he says that schad is bigger than what you want to get chatchila, because Betachon is a mitzvah. It's an avodas Hashem. So Betachon is not tight. I want something, I have Betachon to get it. Betachon means I'm seeing Hashem in every single move that I'm doing, and that's why I have Emuna. And there's a mailer. I have my father, Allah Sholom, everything Hashgacha Pratis. He's just tonight. Test Nissen. He was one of the first Karbonos in the COVID. I was after living here that year, and they brought him in humanities, and the never came out. So. He had one of the stories in our family was he was a war survivor in the sense that Russia didn't go to the Nazi camps, but he was running away from the Germans because the Germans pushed in. He was one day ahead of the Germans. That means they came. He was in a city called Neville. The last minute, Yud Beis Thomas Fabringen, talk about Fabringen. They made Bais Fabringen. They should put into his Zayda's head that they're leaving. They weren't going to leave. There was a whole machlekes. If the Germans are bad to Jews, the Germans are good for Jews, because the first World War they were good to Yidden. A lot of Yidden timed that the fact that the Russians are saying that the Germans are bad for Yidden is just propaganda. And Mama by Yud Beis Thomas Fabringen, Sholom, decided he's going, and they had a Sefer Torah in the house. That's what made the minyan. So they brought it back in the shul. There was a Fabringen there, and other Yidden said, "Well, Geist, there was slaves that never. These people, they later were not alive anymore." my Zayda had a cow, gave milk, he traded it in for a horse that had a limping foot, and that's how they ran mamish hours ahead of the German army. They came into Neville with Achzoris, they killed a lot of Yidden there. There's one of the most beautiful Yidden there, 11, they hung him up by one hand to a light pole. He never hung there for days till never he passed away. And my father was a young boy, and my elder brother, I remember right, she was never couldn't run, so that's why we needed the horse. So they put her on the wagon, and this Luftwaffe would come from time to time. They would come swooping down and shooting these people. On what do they see? They see people, a caravan of people, and they come down shooting on these people. And my father one time was sitting in a business meeting. This is in the 60s or 70s, maybe the 70s in Manhattan, not like today. And a bunch of business people, was not a common sight over there. And the conversation became around if they believe in God or not. You believe in God or not? And they asked my father, do you believe in God? He's sitting with a hat, a board, payas. And he says, no, I don't believe in God. So they looked at him, he says, I don't believe in God. I saw God. What happened? He said, he tells me the story. I was going there, came down shooting. He says, bum, bum, bum. Bullets were flying all around him, all around his grave. Everybody ran into the side of the road. They shouldn't be seen because of the trees. He wouldn't leave his grandmother alone. And bullets were flying around him, and he was saved. So to him, it wasn't he was saved luckily. At Gezen, the Medrash is with him. And he lived with it his whole life. He was a big maimin. And that's the point I want to tell you, is that we have to do the same thing. We have to teach ourselves how to see Hashgacha Pratis, to understand Hashgacha Pratis. Emuna doesn't just mean that the Eibishter exists, Egezvu. And Emuna doesn't only mean that Geset Tzara kommt the Eibishter and refuse you. Emuna means every prat in my life, like he says in the Shara V'Tochen, he says that you wake up in the morning, a Beter B'Hashem was a Maiman, will never think that he could have been somewhere else. Talk about Simchas HaChaim, talk about lack of worry, talk about not having, if you think it could have been somewhere else, and it could have something to happen, you eat yourself up. If you think somebody did something to you, and if this guy wasn't such a Russia, and that he would have had a nicer life. Or you can think, if this happened, it couldn't have been any other way. I'm saying this after I have lost. I worked 18 years for something. The Baruch Hashem wasn't mine, my father's, but we had a big thing going on over there. And one day it was all gone. And the Emuna is, if this is what happened, it couldn't have been anything else. The words Hashem Nas, Hashem Lochach, Hashem Meverich is Emes. That's what it is. Now together with that Emes, B'tachon means go forward and have B'tachon the Eibishter, he'll give you the good that you're looking for. So if you're not Tzara, Zog to the Eibishter. I said 400 years, I can take out earlier. That's the Nekuda. So if you keep on moving with the Kuzi. Why not keep on moving? He writes in this little piece, he writes over there, he talks about Yidden. And he divides the world into 4 categories. And he says there's Semeyach, there's the Smeich, the vegetation, and we have trees around here. You have Chai, you have animals, you have Medaber, over there he divides Yidden from Goyim. And then you have Yidden, what's the difference? So he obviously, the Nefesh HaTzemeich is one realm, the next realm is Chaya, has a whole different Chayas. The next realm is as Baal Seichel. The next realm is a Yid, is a Getlecha, is a godly thing. And this is important because when we see ourselves, Chayres, why are we Chayres? Because we are connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and when you're connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there are no limitations. Chayres means no limitations. Yid is not like a Goy. Yid doesn't hold the full level, he describes him, and that's the point. When we say, how do we experience it? Because Hashem gives us a neshama. And we are Am Segula, we're Am Nivchar, and we're different than Yid. You can't do for Yid. Here's how the Lubavitcher never takes this piece, and I'll show you how the Lubavitcher never takes it, and the Briskirov takes it. It's a beautiful piece. So like that, what's Chayres? Chayres means being who you are. If you take a tree and you think to yourself, what makes a tree happy? What makes a tree happy is good water, sunlight, and the ground. The fact that a tree is tied to the ground does not make a tree unhappy. Fakert, it's very happy it's not being moved around. That's a right of a tree. Now take the exact same treatment and give it to a chaya, to the next realm. Animals have nefesh chaya. Take a cat, tie it down, put him in a cage, and let him move, and feed him good food, and do the same treatment you gave to the tree, do it for the cat. And it'll be the most miserable cat in the world, because, why? The tree is happy. Why? Because the tree has a nefesh atzmachas, and the chaya has a nefesh chaya, and the nefesh chaya has to have the ability to run around. Now keep on moving up. You just finished saying that a person has nefesh sichli. If you take a person and you give him the ability to run around, give a person the ability to have good food and everything like a tree has, give him the ability to run around, but don't let him use his nefesh hasichlis, squash and hold back and put it in a cage. His nefesh hasichlis, he shouldn't be able to think. What are you going to have? The most miserable person? You want a raya? Look at the United States of America and all the people in here. It's a country that people can move around wherever they want to. It's a country that the people have, Baruch Hashem, the gashmis, whatever they want, the fierach, yeah, but the seichel. The happiness, it calls the man, you have a part of you that's not allowed to be express itself, or it's not expressing itself. You're gonna feel an inner missing, and that's gonna make you unhappy, or maybe even anxious, or worse. It's the same thing he said by a yid. The yid has a neshama, and a neshama dafkanan, and a neshama dafkanan. Don't tell the mitzvahs. The food from the neshama tell the mitzvahs. Take a yid and give him good food. Take a yid and give him the ability to move around. Take a yid, give him seichel, but don't give him teira. Don't give him mitzvahs. He'll be the most miserable yid. And I got to tell you a personal story. There was a yid. I met a Jew in the place called prison. His name was Michal, a yid from Russia. This yid from Russia, who came to America at 10 years old, and he was. He went to the system, but I don't think he went to school, which yeshiva. He didn't go to yeshiva, sure. He grew up and he went his way, and his other friend went his way, and somehow, some way, he fell into the place called prison. I think it was speeding or something, and they gave him 22 years. The Pell, I'll tell you the other side of it right now, that he changed his life in prison. He became mamash b'alshur. He wrote to the judge. They changed his life. That was his time. He finished his appeals. He's a new person, changed his life. He did. And the judge took off, the Eibusha took off 10 years just like that. Boom, and he's home now, Baruch Hashem. So I want to show you what it means, tefillah, and because by the ruchnius of a yid, the peril on his gashmis, the real chayas is ruchnius. So this guy, as he came in, he was one of the guys that was serious. So I spent time with him, Gilland. With himself, he davened, he came wherever he could. I want to talk to him about the mitzvahs as the food for his neshama. Mitzvah doesn't have to. If you connect with the Eibishter, you're connected to Cheres, connected to life. That's in Mokra Brocha. How do you connect to the Eibishter? That's Teire Mitzvah. That's why by Yidden Teire Mitzvah is so important, because as we can understand, it's impossible for a human being to figure out how to connect to the Eibishter. The Eibishter has to come and give us a mitzvah. That connects us with the Eibishter. He tells me that Maisa, he had a friend. I forget this guy's name. He came. He's like a childhood friend. Childhood friends have a whole different type of relationship with people. I can't wait to get at them. And he grew up, and he showed he likes to go and do high adrenaline sports like bungee jumping or paragliding, jumping out of airplanes, parachuting. That was his thing. And he liked to do it so much, every weekend that he had a legal holiday, means he had a long weekend, he'd go do this stuff. It cost him money, he did it. That was his. They gave him a label. They gave him a label, he's a high adrenaline junkie. Whatever that means. He needs adrenaline. As I think he meant. He met a Lubavitcher Shlich in Brighton Beach. I know the guy, Rabbi Wiener. He tells me the name of it. Rabbi Wiener. And Rabbi Wiener starts putting on film with him, starts learning with him. And the Yid, the father Shamar, so he starts learning, he starts davening, he starts keeping kosher, keeping Shabbos. And Michael tells me, I see this guy, as he's becoming more famous in mitzvahs, he now goes less and less, jumping out of airplanes, at the high adrenaline stuff. So I thought to myself, actually, part of his religious experience, they told him they can't jump out of airplanes. But he could jump out of airplanes. But he jumped out of airplanes, looked at me. And you can't verstehen. Aber mit gelernt, wegen der Schome, mit gelernt, was er ist, hat Punkt gehabt. This, if you think about it. This Yid has a Schome. To take him as an example, yeah? And you're giving him the ability to eat American, Chaim, fast, kosher, sicher, and then you let him run around. And this guy so he runs around, and you give him seichel on his own. But his neshama is not being fed So he always felt an inner emptiness, or maybe worse, inner pain. And he figured out, he had a tenua that he liked jumping fast sports. So he started jumping out, and when the adrenaline, when he jumped out of airplanes, the adrenaline is there. So it made him it gave him fashikert, I say in English. It's like any dope. And he was able to calm himself down for a week or 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then went again. But the food that his neshama had nicht gegeben zu essen, so came up again. Der Weingang springen und tanzen. Later, when he started doing Torah mitzvahs, he started praying tefillin, he started keeping Shabbos, he started eating kosher, that emptiness went away. So his wheel drive was never jumping at airplanes. Right? A baby is born. Here's another marshal. A baby is born. A baby doesn't know what food is. A baby doesn't know what food is. But it's hungry, so it cries. The mother knows that it's hungry, so the mother feeds the baby. And the pain of the hunger goes away, and the baby stops crying. This cycles out for a few months, until the baby figures out that the food satisfies this type of hunger. The mother knows what the hunger is. The mother knows how to deal with it. And the baby just goes along, and the pain goes away until the baby figures it out also. This is the most of what's going on over here. We were taken out of Mitzrayim. Chedus, remember we told the story. We won't go to Chedus. Real Chedus is when we go to Har Sinai, not when we go back to Mitzrayim. Not Chedus. That's not Chedus. My son put in 2 addresses. He put an address to where he would be helped, and he put an address where he would come there, they wouldn't even know who he is. It doesn't talk to him. That doctor won't talk to him. Let's say it's Chedus for Goy, but not for Yid. Right? So when we say Chedus, we have to begin who we are. And now, I'll tell you the word from Biskarov. He says the other way backwards. He says this. People think you have Tzemeach, Chai, Medaber, Nayid. Nayid has to do Torah mitzvah. So a person thinks that if he doesn't do mitzvah, he's a person. He's a person. That's a name. If you're a Yid, when you're a Yid, and you have a neshama, and you are not a Medaber, you are a Liki, so then, if you're not going to be in a key, you don't slip down to the next level of medaber. You don't become seichel. You become uis metzias. That's not. If you're not who you are in your level, you become uis. And it brings a pasaraya. When a tree, that's uis. You take a tree, pull it out of the ground, cut him down. It doesn't become a daimon. It doesn't slip down to the lower level. When you take a chaya and you take a nefesh chaya, shechte behema, it doesn't become a tzemeach. It becomes uis. Same thing if you take a person, a Yid. So if you can't slip down to the lower level. You become Uis. A Yid that doesn't do Torah mitzvahs, a Yid that doesn't do Torah mitzvahs, then it doesn't become a lower level. It becomes Uis. This, if you want to bring back to the Gemara, the famous story that Akiva, Popus tells Akiva, why you makat kilos, why you learning Rabbi? Dr. Meisen, the fact came to a lake and he saw fish running around, and the fish were very afraid, and they asked the fish, what are you afraid of? There's a fisherman trying to kill us. They were mamish in danger, Begashmi is in danger. So he said, the fox tells the fish, come out, and here you'll be safe. There's nobody catching you over here. They didn't tell him there's a fox going to catch him, but come out. So he said to the fox, you're stupid, because at least in the water we can live, and out of the water we can't live. You're in mortal danger. But it's about at least in the water you can live. A Yid can only live and only survive if his chedus is only there when he has Torah and he has mitzvahs. If he doesn't have Torah and mitzvahs, there's no chedus there. There's nothing going on over there. And it's like a fish going out of water. And how much times today, but I don't want to talk directly, there's not enough time for this discussion, but how much time today in our society, in our search for happiness, and our search for lack of worry, and lack of anxiety, and lack of depression, and we're looking for answers that work for Goyim, maybe, but they're at the expense, let's say, of Yiddishkeit. When somebody thinks that they can speak to a Yiddish boy or girl or adult or child and say that they somehow, by lacking the connection that Yid needs to the water, the action that Yid needs to be a Yid, and that somehow is going to help the Gashmis, it's a mistake, and it's a tois meikor. If you stop for a second, think about it. It's a tas hayetzir also. I want to give you. But I want to explain this. I'm running out of time over here, but I want to say this in the meiser that I had myself also. That Pasha, how mitzvahs first will help you. How mitzvahs keep you freilich. And I forget, I got to tell you, I had a friend. He's come visit me, a relative, but he's come visit me, a friendly relative. He's come visit me many times in the place called prison. And I used to tell him these different stories, different things I had with doing mitzvahs, and I always try to do the mitzvah properly. And one time he tells me, Sholom, stop being so good. So I said, why not? He says, of course. You have a sentence 27 years. Hashem sees that you're being so good in prison, he'll keep you for 27 years. So he said, it's a lach and dik. So I said, he always tells me, stay in bed, don't get out of bed, and then, I said, then what? You stay in bed, not even in bed 27 years. What's going to be? When a person realizes what a challenge is a time when the Eibishter was giving a Yid the opportunity to show him that his connection with him is the Meile, beyond Hagbolas, and when you show the Eibishter your connection with him is beyond limitations, you're out of Mitzrayim, then the Eibishter is Yeshua is out of Mitzrayim. And here's a story, Pesach, like a story happened with me. I say this a lot of times because it's nice to make me with the chill. There was a matzav over there, there was towards the end, and there was like a lot of Yidden there then, and we had a big Pesach. They used to send in the stuff from the camp. The camp was outside. They put into a higher security place with rougher people, because more years keeps you into a more secure place. So the camp used to send in the stuff we needed for the Seder. The Zreya and the Beis and the Charesis and the Ma'azal, all the stuff. That's one Pesach, I think it was either last Pesach or the Pesach before. The mamish towards the end, there was a matzav azam matzav. They opened the box up, and I realized they forgot to send the Zreya. I mean, we want to make a Seder. Say you need 3 matzahs, you need 6 things for the Kaira, and you have a Haggadah. So the middle writes that nothing in the Seder should be small to you, because everything is mamish afahechsneifen. So do every minhag, everything that you have in your that says Haggadah, says up to the ganze hidde. So schreibt the Maril. The beginning of every Lubavitcher Haggadah, he brings this Maril down. That we be zohir to do everything in the Haggadah, because there's nothing here that's a reik. That's, I think, is lashon of the Maril. So I'm in a place called prison. I'm trying. I opened it up. There's no Zereya. If you're all going to go to this guy, there was a chaplain taking care of this religious service. We're going to go to him, and we all tell him we need it. He'll believe us. How does he know what the Zereya is? Nobody wanted to go. So I decided what's going on. So I went myself with the Eibishter's help. I took a Haggadah. How am I going to the Zereya? Then they send a chicken neck. So they flew with that chicken neck. How am I going to explain to a Nigerian American the importance of a chicken neck tonight? Tefilin versteht Tals versteht wo sag ich, I prepare myself. I need all these things. He looks at it. What are you missing? I was hoping you'd say, Gendicht. I was not much angezogen. And sagte mir, listen, Rubashkin, I just looked at your plate. You have 6 things there. I counted them up. And you say you're missing 1. That means 5 you have. No, 5 out of 6. You're in prison. You have to have everything? 5 out of 6? How am I going to explain to this medaber, but how am I explaining to this medaber that here this is a godly thing we're talking about? How am I explaining to this medaber they're talking about a mitzvah liki, and you can't just say 5 out of 6 and you're all 6. When you want something, have the Rebishter. And that's how Shulchan is. Every time something like this happened, it picked me up. I got to tell you something. It picked me up higher than you can imagine, because I saw that's seeing the Eibush. That's I'm saying I saw, experiencing it. So how do you come to work every single day? By car. You know the bus is there. Oh, so imagine you guys go out and wake up in the morning. You go down to your car. You're about to sit down in your car. You see in the back side over there, somebody jacked up your car and stole 1 of your wheels, and now you're 3 out of 4. So what are you going to get into the car and drive away? 3 out of 4, not so bad. You can't. You'd love to, but you can't. I'd love to, but I can't. And it's 6 out of 6. I hit, and maybe it happened to him. I can't understand. He burst out. He says, okay, I'll get it for you. Which a chiddush ain't come. He tried, nobody was. He himself went, and not supposed to do it. I'm saying these stories very quickly. He sends me back inside. Everybody's making fun of me. I sit down on the side. Everybody's moving on. I'm sitting there. I said, guys, you're making a supper. You're not making a seder here. You need little 6 things. Maybe 15 minutes later, he walks in. He had the zreya for me. He brought on the zreya for me and for other guys. I jumped up. I ran over to him. Hab am tanzen mit dem. Mit Mitzrayim Geld on. Ich hab am Hand. I grabbed his hand. Hat sich gelost. How you imagine in a high security place you're touching a god, yeah? I grabbed his hand. Two, three times wasn't a 5-minute record over there, but he saw the excitement. And the Eibishter saved me taka b'zreina to you. I gotta say something. Not David pulled me out of the jail, but also when we do a mitzvah, we're connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we're connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're connecting to Chaim, that's Cheres. Connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, connecting to Brocha, to Cheres. That's what we are. We went out of Mitzrayim to go to Har Sinai. It's ein Zach, so you can say Zachen. We didn't go out of Mitzrayim to stop working. We have a big job, we have a mission. I want to tell you, I'm telling you all my. There was a reporter before Pesach. There was a push. A lot of reporters like to write an article. There was a novel thing. There's a guy in prison, and they're telling it to him. Hat betochen is going home. He's free. Yeah, Chedes in prison, Hart Chedes in prison work together. So there's one reporter came to visit me in the visiting room one year, and the next year he couldn't come. So he sent me an email. And he's like 15, 20 questions, and if I am going to answer the questions, I'll make an article out of it. That shows you how much what you're reading is true or not. Like that was a. So I open up his email, and he has the first few questions. I was like, oh, you have wine, you have matzah, and the sixth question, I think it was the sixth question, he tells me, you're talking for the last 6 years about freedom. You're going to have betochen, they're going to freedom. The Weile gar nicht. So tell me, is he betochen stronger or weaker? Is your betochen stronger now? 6 years later, are you betochen stronger or weaker? Now I was in a high mood, and I was going to answer back stronger. Yeah. Anybody can say that, right? Because he says when the Yehuda Levi meets the Kuzi, he says he introduces himself as he believes in the Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Why didn't you say that you are believing the Eibishter created the heavens and earth? He says anybody can say that. Anybody can come and tell you he believes in that. They start arguing. I am telling you, this is what we experience. I'm not telling you something I believe in, like something I saw and I experienced. And talking when the Eibishter comes to us and says, he doesn't say because then he would include everybody. He says, that you experienced, that you saw, that you live with, that's giving you food, that's taking care of you. That's the one I'm talking to you about. So a guy means exclusion. Everybody else, he says, if the Umas Elam, if they go along with the Eden, then they could be blessed also. Aber the Eibishter is the Eibishter Eden. That's a geschamt, gesagt, Punkt wieder Sache is. So getting back to the betochen, I wanted, anybody can say it's stronger. What? So I said, I thought to myself, I got to find an answer. I really believe, it's an emes. Any question you have in life about in the area of Mother B'tochen, obviously, but maybe more, is you can find an answer in Shara B'tochen. And it's true because at the end, he has a whole page dedicated to dissecting a person's life into 7 categories. And he writes, how you have B'tochen in every single part of life. There's no question you have. I give a shir every Thursday night, Baruch Hashem, I have a little shul. Baruch Hashem, people come, nice shir. And I always tell them, ask me a question, I'll find you the answer in Shara B'tochen. And Baruch Hashem, I'm ahead. I'm not saying if he's able to find it, but it's there. It has to be there. So I'm looking for the answer to this guy's question, and it's right there in Perek Bais, the fifth chelik in Perek Bais. Which one is it? You guys know? I like it. If you can't say the 7 things to have b'tochen, maybe then how you say have b'tochen? He says b'tochen means luchal nefesh, and he says in order to have b'tochen, you have to know about the 7 things. And the third Perek is 5 akdamas. So what are the 7 things? The first one is the one you trust has av v'chemla v'rachim. Rachim chemla. Second one is that he knows very much involved with your life. The third one is chazak, he can do it. The fourth one is he knows how to do it. And the fifth one is if you're trusting someone who's always been there for you. Someone who's always been there for you, and he is and he's with you and will be there with you. If that's a person you're trusting, you're mechuyev. He brings in the word chiyuv here. Wake up, wake up, you're sleeping. Listen to what he's saying over here. He's saying, I remember learning this because it popped out of me. I always thought B'tachon was a Pesach Madrega, you know, he says, Mechuyev, every single year is Mechuyev. It's a mitzvah. David wants you to trust him that he's going to save you. So you know the one you're trusting has always been there for you. He is there for you, and he will be there for you. So because he has been there for you, he says, now, take it down, take a deep breath and take it down. Because of his tayvus that he did for you until now. And because of the tayalas hamasmidas that he's doing right now, you're mechuyev to trust him in what you're trusting in right now. Now it's very easy to say this, you're sitting in Monsey and Baruch Hashem, else is good, or not so, whatever, and you're learning it. I was learning this, I was then in the cell, I even remember the number, it was cell number 219. I was sitting there learning this piece. Maybe it was 217. I was sitting there and I'm learning this, and I get for 1 second. The Eibush has always been good to me. I have to really believe this. I have to understand this. So the Eibush is good to me always, is good and will be good. But not because the Eibush is good to me always, and it's good to me right now. I'm a chuyev to trust him. 1 second now. And I was sitting in a cell, 6 beds. I was inside the cell. I was sitting in this tiny little thing, away from my family. It's already, let's see, 2 years in. Yeah, but it wasn't the first day. It was already a few years in. I'm putting in motions into the court and trying to get out of this place, and it's a Gordon's gate, tapavant, yeah, but he says in order to have the Eibush, I have to know that the Eibush is doing good for me right now. Where? What's the answer? I don't have an answer. But because you don't have an answer doesn't mean that there is no answer. I went to sleep at Shul 1 week and 2 weeks, it was a while, I don't know how long it took, but it didn't happen right away, and then it hit me. If you think about it, when a person is going through a tzara, the Yitzhahara comes always and tries to tell the person that tzara is a raya, the Eibush doesn't care for you anymore. The Eibush is not with you. The Eibush forgot about the Sholom. It's all lies, it's not true. It's all mamish lies. What's going on is in the sun, what's going on is really a test. That's what it says it clearly. But the Yitzhak comes, so how can you fix it? Look at the Teas and Masmitis. I mean like this. I woke up in the morning, I started thinking to myself, 1 second, I wake up in the morning, I'm Baruch Hashem gesund. That's, the Eibush is with me. I'm gesund. I said, things are working. The Eibush put me in a dangerous place. I was in a place surrounded with many people there were Rotzchim. Hard people that won an argument with a fight, with a smash in the face. That's how they won an argument. And that's the people I was with. Never got touched by anybody. Gangs. Never got touched by anybody. So how was that? The Eibush is ignoring me? Fuck that, the Eibush is with me. But the whole thing is the Eibush experiencing. See, David, that's the Ashar practice. Now go, so tell us this. I was in a place they wanted the people to forget about me. Hat the Eibush gemacht, Eden, where I was sicher, to such a beautiful bracha, everybody was down for me. I was sitting in prison, I was getting letters from people I didn't know. From all places, from all different neighborhoods, I was getting letters, being mechazik me, even not davening for me, even not sending money. They took everything away I had, that's a part of the way. They do it, they smash you, take away all the money so you can't defend yourself. And then, but they gave money a different way. The house that we had here in Monsey was partially donated by people. People got together and gave money. I had zero, not zero, minus zero. Eden got together, so they ignoring me. They was with me. My kids are going through the Nisayan. The kids are going through a hard Nisayan. And Nisayan that the people my biggest daige was meine Kinderlach. Yeah, habe ich gesehen. Verkennt. They're going through 1 year, 2nd year. They're going through school. They came here, and they're going to school. The community is accepting them. There's Dafka. There's a Rabbi in green here. Her grandson one of the children fell out of the bus. She took care that every Thursday night there was pizza and French fries delivered to my children's house to make them feel that they're wanted and accepted. And from Skver, she's not a rich person. She got money together. I thought it lasted a month, it lasted 2 months. It lasted 8 years. That's called Tiyasat. It's not just thank you, Hashem. My children went through yeshiva, Baruch Hashem, normal. And I want to say this, and nobody, because they never went to professionals. They went to the Rabbeinu Bachi in Cheres Lavavis. That's where they went to. That was the real profession. And Emuna, that's what kept him. Anybody say this is exactly what it was. And I'll tell you, they watched us. They have in the neshama. If you put it all together, I was trying to bring out here, is that we have in the neshama. We are different people. We work differently. We focus on the strength that we have from our neshama, and they just benched us. And I'm watching the kids growing up. I get an email one day from my kid, from the Rabbi's his teacher, and he says, your son just came into class, and he told me, my tati loves to learn. So he also wants to learn. And where did he see? This kid was 4 years old when they took me out of the house. 4 years old. He's been watching me 4 years, going from 4 years old, going to visit me and put him clothes every single day, every single week, behind the window, in the window, can't go home with him, but he did see that every Friday I sent in emails with Dvar Torah for the younger kids and the older kids. When I came to visit, we were always talking about Parasha, we were talking about Wasserberg gelebt Torah mitzvahs. He heard, Mommy told him about it. So that tells him Asmidas. Tells him Asmidas means not just thank you Hashem. They have this thing of count your blessings. It's more than that. Way more than but the Shara B'tachon is teaching you, these things that you see is going for you. The tells him Asmidas, you see a good that's happening in your life. When a person has a problem, that problem overtakes him, especially when it's a big problem. It overtakes him and he can't see past it. And anything that's small, I was in prison. Okay, good, so it's adopting for me. Okay, good, they give money. I'm in a place called 27 years. How am I going to survive 27 years? So a person has a seichel, that's what he says about seichel. No, he can work on his midas. And he said, 1 second. But forget it. Look, the Torah is guiding you how to see it. Not that, okay, don't look at the big thing Hashem is beating you upon. Look at the small things He's good to you. I want the big thing. No. Use the small things to prove to yourself and mechayiv you that the same way the Eibush is with you on the small things, He'll be with you on the big things. So it's a punkt fakert. It's not just thank you Hashem for this small thing and thank you. They saw it that I reden. And that's what Chometz is. Chometz is Yitzhak. Chometz is Seir. Chometz is Yeshivas. The Yitzhak was to say, you're not getting your daven, you didn't get what you wanted. I got to tell you, a guy emailed me 2 hours before Shabbos. He wants to come for Shabbos. Was that a Pesach? And in the email he writes, because he doesn't know if he can be, he's going through tremendous emotional stress, and he doesn't know if he can keep Shabbos in the place where he is. He came for Shabbos. Amazing Shabbos we had together, and one of his emotional pain is, he says to me, he davens to the Eibush for months that he can't keep Shabbos, and because he wants to keep Shabbos, and where he is, he can't do it. And why did Eibush answer him? I said, Eibush just answered you. You're here for Shabbos. But the time before, he didn't answer me. And whatever happened before is gone. That's Eibush. Why didn't Eibush answer earlier? We don't know. But when the Eibush will answer, but talking for the forward, the government that talking the Eibush will answer, how can you strengthen you? But talking, I answered this guy like this. This guy wrote me. It's 6 years went by. You were talking weaker or stronger. I'll tell you. It's stronger, but not because I'm a wise guy, not because I can say what I want to say. It's stronger because Torah is teaching me how to see it. I'm talking in a very bad place. I'm in a place where it's prison and the Yitzhak wants to use this as a time. They just forgot me. It's not true. How can I prove it? So the first year, they threw me in here. Okay, Yitzhak, I have to work on what I learned. It's Emes, Torah is Emes. I'm going to go with says in Torah. But every year, as I see, the Eibush is with me here, the Eibush is with me here, the Eibush is with me here, it's very starker. I see the Eibush never forgot about me. Why is it 6 years has gone by and I still have not been answered, but I could be answered, I will be answered. Obviously, there's a sign going on over here. After the stronger betochen, I have to work through something has to happen to my neshama, and I'll finish with this word about neshama, we have keich from. So that's the word. I don't know. Emuna means I don't know. Emuna means and they say better. People are afraid to have betochen for the future because they think by having betochen they're somehow being pagei and the Emuna, whatever Hashem does is good. And this is a way you can mamish put them both together. I heard this by Fabring and Tavshim Dal. I didn't. I read it as a chaf of it. That was your side. He put it beautifully. He says, for the past you have to have a Emuna that it couldn't have been any different. And that's if there could have been an easier way for it to happen, it would have happened. So obviously, if it happened, that's the way it had to happen. And Yidra Maimon, he can handle it. Going forward, will the Eibishter, you should have betochen that the Eibishter will give you his good. The Eibishter is good, so good, he can give you good. And not only he knows it's good, the Eibishter knows it's good, then you also see it's good. That's the betochen.
Last week's Rambam.
Yeah.
Yitzhak it has to be gratitude for
Leilam Yitzhak Allah.
Klolei Shel Dover.
Yeah. Very good, Sheikh. It's very good. Says I halach psut Rambam. I saw it.
I learned Rambam a week ago.
Okay.
Talk about that later.
Okay. Now I'll finish off over here. If I have noch, can you a bisschen again? There's 1:10. I don't. People have to leave. I don't know. I know it's like I drove 2 hours one way, 2 hours back. So it's a whole day's work for me. I want to hop around whatever I can. I want to finish off with the Zavot. Where do you get Keich from? Haggadah Shel Pesach. Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Harei ani kevin shivim shana. I look like I'm 70 years old. And Harei ani, he says right away, I'm not at 70 because it's in the Gemara. He tells you that he was 18 and he wanted to become a Nasi, but he looked too young. The wife told him he looked too young, so the Eibishter made him look older by putting white hair in his beard. He said, I look like I'm 70 years old. Yeah, there's a chisi. What's his surprise? He wasn't zeicher because you're 18. Tak 18 of Rosman Azariah, but you're 18. If you'd be 7, what's the vort Harei Kivishim Mishana? He's saying it. If he said I'm 70 and I don't understand Tatarataina, I'm like 70. So you're not 70. That's why you don't understand. What's this whole Agdama there? So the answer is a gewaltige lesson in knowing we have keiches. First of all, we have a mitzvah. The mitzvah itself, what drove me a lot, and all these things I share with you, what pushed me to go look for this today, what pushed me to do these mitzvahs. If the Rebbe tells you a mitzvah, the mitzvah itself is proof you can do it. The Rebbe will never give you a mitzvah you can't do. And like it says, you have to try, you have to do, and the Rebbe will help you. I don't think it was my chokhmah that got this guy to get me the Zreya. I think the Eibishter maneuvered, and the Eibishter saw how much I wanted, and they gave it to me. So, Rabbi Elazar is telling you that he is, a person wants to know, okay, it's a mitzvah, but where does the keiches come from? So he says, I look like, you know why I look like I'm 80, I'm 70? Because I'm like a 70. Because it brings on that he was a Hamshech of Shmuel Navi. Shmuel Navi passed away in 52, and he is 1852 is 70. By the blood of his in Klor, he knew he came from Shmuel Navi. Had gesagt, I am a connection with Shmuel Navi. Habe ich mein 18 Jahre und ich habe mit Shmuel Navi 52 Jahre. I have both sides. I have 1852. So it's not like you tell me I'm not 70. I have keiches over 70. So maybe I'll say, how come I wasn't zeicher? And what's the lesson to us? Why are we being told this? Tam is not just another word. I like to learn something that brings you can bring it down Ma'aser B'Peil. What's the Ma'aser B'Peil? That means every one of us we're not the Shem Chadoshes. We're coming through to finish up, and Mashiach is coming. We got to finish up a few polish a few buttons. We have to finish up something here. Another test, another Ma'aser. Mashiach is going to come. So it means we have keiches from our previous neshama. Wherever we have a neshama that did a lot of mitzvahs, we have a neshama that did a lot has keiches. So when a person goes through a challenge and he tries to sum himself up, and he tries to see where do I have the koyach to do this? Where do we have to do this? And he sometimes will think to himself, I know myself and I don't have the koyach. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah is telling you should know that you could get keiches also from the neshama that you're connected with. You have a previous neshama that learned Torah, did mitzvahs, that has keiches, and mitzad, if you put both together, mitzad that neshama, you're stronger than you think you are, and you can overcome it. I was a tiny nebazeh, so the other neshama has avirus also. What if you don't even know what kind of avirus a guy has? Maybe you don't want to associate yourself with him. Possibly. Zakt medin nein, because an aveda is temporary. Aveda you can do tshuva and get rid of it. And Hashem, you come upstairs is a maximum 11 years and it's over. An Aveda gets washed out. An Aveda is temporary. A mitzvah is forever. A mitzvah lasts forever. You do a mitzvah, it's a tzavsa v'chibur that never goes away. Because the Eibush is forever and his mitzvah is forever. B'meila, so anything keichas that the Neshama Gata had is there for you to use. For you to use and overcome your current challenge. And the Aveda they may have done is already gone. So this is the chizuk we have. We're going out of Mitzrayim. The Eibush is taking out of Mitzrayim. If we use Emuna, you got to bring it to Hashgacha Pratis. If you want to strengthen your Emuna, you do it by seeing Hashgacha Pratis in everything. Have betach in every small thing that Kamach says. Understand that your destination of Chedes has to be the destination to Har Sinai, not to Chas v'Shalom anywhere else. The idea that you can park your neshama Chas v'Shalom for a moment and go out of the water and then somehow come back into the water, you're dead. You can't park. You have to know that faket, you want a physical healing, you do it through ruchnius. You're healthy ruchnius, and that comes down by gashmis. Of course you go to the Rabbi, you go to a doctor. But we're talking about the inyanim of Torah mitzvahs. You never, ever, if I learned anything from my experience in life, is you never say that I can serve Hashem in a different circumstance. You put into that circumstance to prove you could serve Hashem. That's the, people have it backwards. We're after Hashem. That Hashem puts us in a circumstance. He gives us a father and a mother, the punkt that we have to have. He gives us a neighbor, the punkt we have to have, friends we have to have. Because that's where we have to show that we can serve Hashem there. To say, give me a different circumstance, is going away from what really is going on. They're just saying, I put you there to show you, for you to bring out this Indian, that you can be yet even there. That's what it is. David takes us out of Mitzrayim to become Avdei Hashem. David says because he gives us a big mission. The mission is given to Har Sinai. We have to go into the world and bring the Kedusha into this world. And Taka collectively. We're talking about Nazaya collectively. And how you can be chazik yourself? Look, open your eyes. And I use this story many times in situations that are very, very. Every person can find multiple things. The Teras Masmidas, the words of the Rabbi Bachya and Shai B'Tachon is real. The Teras Masmidas is there. See the Teras Masmidas, see the good that's happening, not just as, at least that. See that as a proof that Hashem is with you. No, Hashem is with you. See Hashem is with you. As the Kuzi says, Levi says in the Kuzi, that you should know. Yiddishkeit is an experience. You're living it. Hashem is with you. Take your Emuna and live with it. And you'll see. Like I said, know that wherever you are, that's the reason why you're here. Do it. Do the Eibush towards, and you'll see it good. The Gashmis, the Beruchnis, and that everyone should say, "B'teiv hanidav hanigla v'shivishiyah v'shgula shleima now." Questions? No?